why Ghana just walked away from a $1.2 billion bauxite deal and instead rolled out a welcome mat for the entire world to come and bid. This isn't just about mining, it's about politics, law, a giant red rock in Nyinahin, and the future of one of Africa's most resource-rich nations. And here's the twist. This decision could either unlock billions for Ghana's economy or scare away exactly the investors they desperately need. So stay with me, because by the end of this story, I want you to tell me in the comments, is this a genius reset or a dangerous gamble? Picture this. It's a humid July afternoon in Accra, 2025. Newsrooms are buzzing, Twitter is on fire, and WhatsApp groups are filled with just one question. Did you hear? The bauxite deal. It's gone. For years, we've been told the Nyinahin Hills project was going to be a national game changer. The state-owned Ghana Integrated Aluminium Development Corporation, GIADEC, had partnered with Rockshore International, a respected local mining company. Together, they were going to mine 376 million tons of bauxite and build the first fully integrated aluminum value chain in the country. The price tag, $1.2 billion in investment, enough to create thousands of jobs, boost GDP, and finally make Ghana a major player in global aluminum markets. Then, almost overnight, poof, cancelled. No countdown, no farewell ceremony, just an official notice from the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources that the lease was void. Why? A little legal time bomb hidden in Ghana's mining laws. Back in 2019, the Supreme Court ruled that any mineral lease that isn't ratified by Parliament is automatically invalid. Turns out, Rockshore's lease never got that stamp of approval, and when lawyers spotted it, the government had no choice but to pull the plug. If you were Rockshore, investing millions in prep work, how would you feel finding out the deal never had full legal backing? Drop your reaction below. I'm curious if you'd fight it or walk away. Here's where it gets even messier, because this exact plot twist has played out before. Let's rewind to 2016. Another company, Exton Cubic Group, had a deal to mine the same Nyinahin deposit. The paperwork was signed, the press release written, and the community already dreaming about new roads and jobs. And then, same story. Parliament never ratified the lease. A legal challenge was launched, and eventually the government cancelled it. That was almost 10 years ago. And now history repeats itself. Experts have been warning about this for years. Dennis Geyer from the Natural Resource Governance Institute put it bluntly: if Ghana keeps politicizing its mining projects and skipping key governance steps, serious investors will run.
Think the formulation of the legal frameworks, we got quite a lot of things wrong in that direction.
Both cancelled over the same legal issue. You'd wonder, is this really where I want to park billions of dollars? And yet, here's the strange thing. The Nyinahin deposit is still one of the most attractive bauxite sites on the planet. So attractive that companies are willing to overlook the risk if the potential reward is big enough. But let's be clear, this pattern sends a message, and not necessarily the one Ghana wants to send. It's like inviting someone to dinner, seating them at the table, and then telling them the kitchen is closed. Now, if you're wondering why companies keep lining up for this project, despite all the drama, here's why. Ghana has an estimated 900 million tons of bauxite reserves. That's the 7th largest in the world. Bauxite is the ore from which we get aluminum, and aluminum is everywhere. In planes, cars, buildings, phones, even your soda can. Demand is only going up, especially with the push for lighter, more fuel-efficient materials in transport and renewable energy sectors. The Nyinahin deposit is a monster. At 376 million tons, it's about 6 times bigger than Awazo's reserves, 60 million tons, and more than double Kebi's, 160 million tons. Here's the kicker. Nyinahin's ore quality is high and the site's location is strategic. It's relatively close to Ghana's transport networks, and the government has long planned to build a refinery to process the ore locally instead of just exporting raw bauxite. That's important, because exporting raw ore is like selling unroasted coffee beans. You make the real money when you process and refine it yourself. This is why JADEC's original plan was so ambitious. 1. Meet Nyinahin. 2. Build a local alumina refinery. 3. Feed the Volta Aluminium Company smelter in Tema. 4. Export finished aluminum products. Done right, this could be an industrialization engine for Ghana, not just a mine, but an entire value chain that boosts manufacturing, exports, and skilled jobs. So, the Rockshore deal is dead. What now? Instead of going back to the drawing board with another local partner, Ghana is going global. The government has started courting heavyweights like Emirates Global Aluminium, EGA, and major Chinese state-linked companies. These players bring something Rockshore didn't have. 1. Access to deep capital pools. 2, decades of experience in large-scale bauxite and aluminum projects. 3. The ability to finance and build refineries, ports, and transport networks at speed. This isn't a new idea. In fact, Ghana has been talking to EGA since at least 2018 about possible collaboration. But now, the timing might be better. Global aluminum demand is surging, and supply disruptions from places like Guinea have made buyers eager for stable new sources. Still, this approach comes with its its own risks. Foreign investors will want significant control over operations to protect their investments. That could mean Ghana gives up some decision-making power over its own resources. And let's be honest, resource nationalism runs deep here. Many Ghanaians are wary of deals that hand too much to outsiders, especially given the mixed track record of foreign mining firms in Africa. If you were in government, would you go big with a global partner to speed things up, or keep it 100% Ghanaian even if it took longer? Tell me below. Let's break it down. Potential rewards: thousands of direct and indirect jobs, billions in export revenue, infrastructure upgrades, roads, rail, power, a diversified economy less dependent on gold and cocoa. Risks: political meddling could still derail things. Foreign dominance in the value chain could mean less benefit for locals. Environmental damage if regulations are weak or unenforced. Losing investor trust if governance doesn't improve. And there's one more factor: timing. The global aluminum market is competitive. Guinea is already the world's second largest bauxite producer and has the ear of big buyers like China. Every year Ghana delays, it risks losing market share to faster moving rivals. So here we are. Nyinahin's red hills are still waiting. The Rockshore deal is history. The government is betting that a global partner will unlock the project's true potential if they get it right. With transparent contracts, strong environmental safeguards, and community benefits, Ghana could finally turn its bauxite reserves into a long-term engine for growth. If they get it wrong, we'll be back here in a few years talking about yet another cancelled deal. Bold move or risky gamble? Let me know your verdict in the comments. Hit subscribe if you want the follow-up when Ghana announces its new partner. Share this video so more people understand what's really at stake. South Africa has just given the green light for a massive 4,000 megawatt nuclear plant right on the coast, just 30 kilometers from Cape Town. This isn't just any project. It will sit beside Karberg, the only commercial nuclear power station in all of Africa. Supporters say it's the key to ending blackouts and moving away from coal. Critics, they warn it's a billion-dollar gamble with environmental, political, and even geopolitical risks. Oh, and did I mention Russia and Iran could be among the bidders? So, is this the dawn of an African nuclear age or the start of a controversy that could shake the region? Let's start with the why. If you've been following South Africa's energy story, you know the word load shedding all too well. Rolling blackouts, businesses forced to close, families cooking dinner by candlelight. The core problem: an aging, unreliable fleet of coal-fired power stations, many past their prime, and while renewables like solar and wind are growing fast, they're not yet providing stable, around-the-clock baseload power. That's where nuclear comes in. Unlike coal, it produces zero carbon emissions during operation. Unlike solar or wind, it's not dependent on the weather. The site chosen for this mega project is Nyinahin, right next to Koeberg Nuclear Power Station, about 30 kilometers north of Cape Town. Koeberg has been running since 1984 and is Africa's only commercial nuclear plant. In August 2025, Environment Minister Barbara Creasy reaffirmed the environmental authorization for a 4,000 megawatt nuclear plant there. That's more than double Koeberg's capacity, which currently produces about 1,860 megawatts, roughly 5% of South Africa's electricity. If your country suffered constant blackouts, would you support building a nuclear plant near a major city? Type yes or no in the comments. I want to see where you stand. Koeberg is a remarkable story in itself. Commissioned in the 1980s, it was built with French technology and has supplied reliable electricity for decades, making it one of Eskom's most consistent performers. Recently, Koeberg underwent major life extension work. Unit 1's license was extended by 20 years, keeping it online until 2045. Unit 2's extension is expected by the end of 2025. These upgrades proved something important. South Africa can run nuclear power safely over the long term and upgrade it successfully, but they also revealed how challenging the process is. Delays in maintenance work led to periods where units were offline, adding pressure to the already strained grid. For the new Nyinahin project, those lessons are crucial. The government needs to ensure timelines, budgets, and safety protocols are realistic because nuclear projects are infamous for cost overruns and delays. The proposed plant at Nyinahin is part of South Africa's integrated resource plan, the long-term roadmap for electricity supply. The goal: diversify away from coal, increase renewables, and add stable nuclear baseload. 4,000 megawatts is a huge jump. It would more than double current nuclear output and could power millions of homes. But the price tag will be in the tens of billions of dollars. Financing that means finding the right partner, one that can deliver the tech, the funding, and the operational expertise. The project is also part of a bigger transition. Retire old coal plants by 2040, expand solar and wind capacity dramatically, use nuclear to fill the gap and stabilize the grid. Public consultations in 2024 revealed strong divides. Supporters point to France, Canada, and South Korea as examples of safe, reliable nuclear power. Opponents raise concerns about cost, radioactive waste, and the risk of accidents, especially in a coastal, earthquake-prone zone. Here's where the politics get interesting. South Africa has said it's open to any country offering the best deal. That includes Russia and Iran. This is not without controversy. South Africa's past flirtation with a massive nuclear deal with Russia under former President Jacob Zuma collapsed amid allegations of secrecy and corruption. That deal could have locked South Africa into a costly agreement for decades. Now, with Russia under Western sanctions and Iran still under heavy restrictions, choosing them as partners could strain relationships with the US and EU. And remember, the US is currently negotiating a nuclear fuel agreement with South Africa, which would impact fuel supply for Coburg and any future plants. It's a geopolitical balancing act. Choose a partner that brings cheap financing but risk alienating key trade allies, or go with a Western partner at potentially higher costs but with fewer diplomatic headaches. Which would you choose? The cheapest deal, no matter the politics, or a politically safe partner even if it costs more? Comment below. Potential rewards: stable, carbon-free baseload power for decades, energy independence from coal and imported fuels, high-skilled jobs in engineering, construction, and operations, positioning South Africa as a continental leader in nuclear tech. Risks: massive debt burden. If costs spiral, it could hit taxpayers hard. Political and corruption risks in the procurement process. Environmental concerns, from waste storage to potential leaks. Partner choice, affecting foreign relations and trade. And there's one more wild card: public trust. Nuclear projects live or die by whether the public believes they're safe. Lose that trust and even the most advanced project can be shut down before completion. This plant isn't just about electricity, it's about South Africa's identity in a changing world. If the project goes ahead smoothly, Cape Town could become the hub of Africa's nuclear industry, training engineers, exporting expertise, and inspiring other countries to follow suit. If it fails, whether from political interference, cost blowouts, or safety issues, it could sour African governments and citizens on nuclear for a generation. Globally, the nuclear sector is watching. Africa has huge energy needs and abundant uranium resources. If South Africa proves it can scale nuclear safely, it might spark a wave of investment across the continent. So here's the question: is this South Africa stepping into the future or biting off more than it can chew? The 4,000 megawatt Nyinahin project could be a turning point for the grid, for the economy, and for Africa's place in the global nuclear conversation. But the road ahead is lined with tough choices. 1. Who to partner with. 2. How to finance it without overburdening taxpayers. 3. How to win and keep public trust. If they get it right, South Africa could finally end the cycle of load shedding and position itself as an energy leader. If they get it wrong, it could be the most expensive missed opportunity in decades. Would you trust nuclear energy to power your city?